We are almost in the starting block, Salone. Welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Welcome to the legendary ADAC Truck Grand Prix here at the Eifel. The trucks are trying to line up, they're trying to run around this big, huge circuit with lots of turns and curves. And we are so excited to see finally the giant trucks back on this track. The qualifying was over and now we are ready to race, ready to be ahead of race number 1 at this weekend, starting already on Friday. The festival is also going on. We had lots of times to chat with all the people, to catch some autographs and to just enjoy the beautiful landscape here at the Eifel with all the camping spaces and lots of personnel right now going on this track. And we're trying to, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. So are you well prepped? All good? Oh, good. So just a quick chat, and you see the atmosphere is also great, very collegial. And we want to have a quick look at, we spoke earlier, Andreas Ahn did that with Steffi Harm and Sascha Lenz, because those are the local heroes. And what are they aiming for?
What does it mean to you to race here in the famous Eifel region? It's not far from your home base.
Yeah, it's really nice. You know, we have 45k from my home to here, so it's it's a nice feeling. I think we have a lot of people here, we have a lot of fans here, and I hope we have good results this weekend.
Yes, for us and also for the others, not only for the Germans. I think it's the highlight of the season because we have a big crowd of spectators here every year and a fantastic program beside our race program.
I hope we have not so many pressure, or I have not so many pressure inside, so that I can the same style drive with in Poland or Slovakia. So, and then we will see what we have on the end.
You know, it's always a good feeling when you come back to a racetrack which you like and you were successful in the past. I think it's not a special motivation, but it's a good feeling for yourself that you knew in the past you was able to win the races here. So why should it not be possible this year?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fingers.
And Steffi Harm was on the podium last year cheering up, and we are so excited to see race number 1. The trucks are lining up and we're excited to present to you Lina van der Maas, because you will see this face more often during this series. Lina, you've been there with us with the qualifying, top speed by Norbert Kirsch. He was not really happy because during free practice he had a better lap and he said it was on used tires. So he was not really happy. Stefan Haas right now lining up. What are your first impressions of this race series?
Well, actually, I'm really in love with these racetracks. I mean, they're enormously sexy on the racetrack, I have to say. My personal passion is mechanics and how like the technology that's standing behind them, and obviously you can see a lot. I want to dive deeper into the topics. They're racing up to 160 horsepower up here, like kilometers per hour. So, I mean, that's like very nice racing by itself, like a little old school, but very new school as well, because so much stuff is happening. So very nice people around as well. It's a very big topic and I love it.
Absolutely, and of course 100% renewable biodiesel, so it's a clean track and you can smell nothing in the air. I think that's really amazing. That's racing with new atmosphere.
I read if you have any black exhaust at all, you're immediately dismissed. You immediately have to leave the race. So really watching out that this race also keeps clean and also like futuristic when it comes to fuel and engine stuff. Look at that engine. Look at that turbo. So cool.
So we see you are excited, and we do even get more excited. We want to show you right now the qualifying. You know, there's first qualifying, then there's Super Pole, and of course there's alwaaz Chaz Draycoat with a white glove on.
Drinking Eifelgeist.
Yep, I would not mention that, but we do. Chaz, have fun commentating on the qualifying. We do also salute Jörg Hennig, our German commentator.
Yeah, of all things I'd like to be known for in my career, it's not wearing white gloves and drinking Eiffel, guys. But here we are, everybody, ahead of race 1, the first race of this weekend in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And I, Chaz Draycott, will be providing all the English commentary over the course of the weekend. And I really, really hope that you are as excited about this race as I am. We had a great qualifying session, though, always as entertaining as ever. Steffi Helm didn't have the best start to her session, but as we interviewed her, or as Lena interviewed her at least, halfway through the session, she told us that she'd be back out on the circuit to set a better time, and she certainly did that. It was a great session once again, though, by Norbert Kisch, who, of course, took pole position once more, as he so often does in this championship. He's always a very busy boy and certainly knows exactly where to place his truck. There was no major dramas further down the order, no major issues for anybody. It was just a case of keeping everything in check and keeping everybody, of course, on the road. The curbs took a battering, though, by Stefan Faas and many others who were trying to keep it as clean as possible. But as always, with the size of these machines, that is not the easiest. Mark Taylor there pushing the limits, but making it through to Superpole as well. Owen Klein-Nagelvoort, a new addition for this weekend, just missing out on getting through into Superpole, but still putting in a solid effort all the same. But like I say, Norbert Kisch was the one that was at the top of the pile, and will start this race from the front of the grid. And again, he's going to have Sascha Lenz alongside him on the front row. I spoke to some of Sascha's team earlier, and they were all very, very excited for what is to come. And obviously, so are we, because we've got a number of drivers right up there. We've got Jochen Hahn and Jamie Anderson right near the front of the pile. It's going to be a very busy start to the race, but the sun is shining here at the Nürburgring. It's looking very lovely indeed, and we have almost all of our trucks ready to go on the grid. As you see there, Sascha Lenz on the front row of the grid joining. We're going to go back to Christina, though, who has a few words for us.
Yes, we're trying to catch an interview with Sascha Lenz. Why not do this live? This is our working space right now. We do around the truck, and then we do knock on the door. And if the door closes like this, we're going to open it. Nobody in. So, where is he? We try to have a look and find Sascha Lenz.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yeah, Sascha's not just fast on the track, but he's also fast when it comes to disappearing out of the truck and into thin air as well. He's fast in the paddock, and there he is. He's actually fast at reappearing as well, it seems. Sascha Lenz makes his way back to the grid, and he will have a chat now with Christina ahead of the first race of the weekend in that gorgeous purple machine, truck number 3. A big change for Sascha in his usual livery for this season. He retains the bright green colours, though, that he so often wears. But we will go back down to Christina now, who will catch Sascha for an interview.
Yeah, well, he puts on the seatbelt, but he's able of multitasking, I think. So, right out to have a chat with him. Home turf, so exciting. Finally, race number 1 after the Superpole and qualifying. You're starting from first row. What are you aiming for?
You know, for me, it's really nice. Okay, we sent the first line, yeah, my home complex, but on the other side, I need to change or to switch off, and I hope I can drive this every time. I want to give my best, and on the end, we will see.
And of course, you like to see Jochen Hahn behind you, because the final result last year, he was just a small bit ahead of you, some 10 of points. So you need every point ahead of him. Are you having that in your mind when you're not thinking about the race?
You know, the season is really long now. We have now the middle for the season, so I give my best, and after we will see what we have.
Which is your favorite sector here?
I have no favorite sector. It's a nice circuit, and all sectors are nice.
So we're enjoying everything here, absolutely. So, and right now we're going to see the beautiful, as you said, lilac new SL Truck Sport, and of course 100% renewable HVO. This is always very good to see here in green. So we are right now, soon we'll be welcoming our international viewers, and so we'll have a quick stop. It's the extraordinary, it's the legendary, it's the fabulous Nürburgring. Hello and welcome to all the international viewers to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Hello and welcome to the ADAC Truck Grand Prix. We are here with you at the grid, at the front row. You see Norbert Kisch. He was the pole leader and right now the pole setter, and alongside him Sascha Lenz, to whom I spoke recently, and of course he's now competing on home turf and he's trying to get the best points as possible. In the second row we do have Jochen Hahn and we do have Jamie Anderson. We're so absolutely thrilled to be here at the Eifel, back again on this famous track Nürburgring, and we want to welcome our English commentator Chess Draycote.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to the Nürburgring and welcome to the 36th International ADAC Truck Grand Prix, the biggest event of the year for this championship, and it is an absolutely fantastic weekend to be a part of. I am overly hyped for this one. Been looking forward to it all year, and it's great to finally be here on site at the Nürburgring as well. I've got my own beautiful little, what we call an OB van with air conditioning, which we only just turned on earlier on. And I'm doing a lot of commentary over this weekend as well, not just commentating on the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, but also the ADAC Mittelrhein Cup as well, which includes the French Truck Racing Championship. So plenty of truck action here, not just on the circuit as well, but off it too. There is an amazing fireworks display every Saturday night on these events, and there is 100-odd different show trucks all the way down the bottom end of the circuit, down towards what they call the Mühlenbachschleife. And based on last year's hangover, I sometimes get slight PTSD from that word. Anyway, we're going to look forward to a great race here with Norbert Kisch on the front row, Sascha Lenz alongside him, Jochen Hahn and Jamie Anderson making up row two in the glorious sunshine. There's so many good things going for us right now at this event, and this next race is certainly going to set us up for a very exciting weekend. It's a different one though, of course. I was going to say earlier that it's a bit late in the day for us, but we're pretty much an entire day early with our race. So we've got one race today. We then have two races tomorrow and one on Sunday, and we're going to find out how Norbert Kisch does in all of them after Christina has a word with him.
Yeah, and he did very well in Super Pole. He had a 1:54.479 fastest lap, but you said in free practice it was 0.251, so a little bit better on used tires. How did you manage it right now?
Yeah, we have the tire regulations, so we have to use the same tires as we did in qualifying. But, we changed a little bit on the setup, and I hope it's a step in the right direction. And, I can hope we can have a good start and stay in front.
So you're starting from front row, obviously. What is right now very important for you? How do you get out the first turn?
Obviously the first turn is very tight. And, kind of difficult to do when we are doing the start, because we are coming in two rows usually, so the turn is very tight, so it's difficult to choose which gear you want to use, but we see how we end up after the acceleration, after the green light, see what the positions are, and then we decide how much risk we need to take in the first turn to hopefully stay in front.
Thank you very much. So, speaking about acceleration, of course, those are the biofuel provided trucks, but the new techniques is just around the corner. We presented the electronic truck, the e-truck, the team by Jochen Hahn, Iveco, that did a great job, 9 months only, and then they did this, Linda van der Maas.
Und so sieht aus.
All our partners on the basic motorsport, what we do, what is our life in the moment, go with us to the future, and this makes me very proud. I have diesel in the blood, not really a battery, but when we think about 5 minutes and we say, no, we must go forward, we must develop, we must learn the things what we need, the knowledge to do it. Why? We are a part of the future together with Iveco and the partners, and this is the sense, to look forward.
We just brought out the new electric heavy-duty truck. We are presenting it here as a Iveco heavy-duty battery electric truck. at the Nürburgring. At the same time, Jochen and his team, they managed to have the race electric truck here. So all Iveco, we are very proud.
It's basically a new era of the Goodyear FIA TRC to really have the first full electric race truck here, standing here. You can touch it, you can look at it. It's really another step in the sustainability transition, which is a key pillar of our strategy, of our vision. We as a platform, we are really delighted about our partners Iveco and our team Jochen Hahn to have built such a fabulous, good-looking truck. There are a lot of new components when it comes to the electric, but in general we are open to any kind of technology, regardless if it's synthetic fuel, if it's bio-LNG, if it's hydrogen or if it's electric.
Yeah, hello again from Lina van der Mars. This is the face to a name you might be hearing and seeing in the future quite more often, because I'm having the pleasure to be joining more races than this one. But I'm also stoked to be co-hosting aside to Christina for this weekend. And I found one woman that really is super known in the European Cup because she's the only woman racing. And we happened to meet 20 years ago when she started out car racing. And I'm a trained car mechanic, and I was allowed to be her mechanic so many years ago. So I was like, okay, of course I have to come over and say hi to Steffi before she's starting out on the race. And we just introduced a very new, sexy, modern truck to you guys that Jochen built, the e-truck. And those trucks already like changed to biofuels. So much stuff has changed. And I was like, okay, I really want to learn more about these trucks. And I was like, what air pressure are you racing? They were like, we cannot tell you. So quick word from Steffi before. Okay, she has to go now. So that was a little late. She just unplugged her helmet, but she has to talk to her team. So we let her go and we will come back later on, because I really want you to meet Steffi. In case you have not heard of her, you really should, because this is a very stunning woman. So good luck to Steffi and good luck to all the other ones. May the games begin, may the race begin, and back to Chaz. Thank you.
Wonderful stuff, Lena. Nicely said. Let the games begin indeed, and so they will. There is our beautiful Ford F-Max, which has just completed its inspection lap of the circuit, just to make sure there's no spillages, no debris, nothing that could cause any harm to the racing, or of course cause it to stop in any way. But yes, we do have Lina van der Mars on site with us this week, and she'll be joining us for a lot more of the races later on in the championship as well. A fantastic addition to our ever-growing team here at the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's great to have her. And yes, Steffi Halm is going to be right up there in the order. She's starting 8th on the grid for this one, behind Lucas Hahn, or well, next to Lucas Hahn on the 4th row of the grid. And just behind them is that man there, actually, Mark Taylor in the number 81 machine. They actually put a post out on their social media earlier, and usually I like to think that I'm a very eagle-eyed commentator, but I'm afraid I've let myself down in the fact that I haven't noticed that they've changed their windscreen banner for this week to a really large white one, which they're used to using, and, well, it means that they're easily noticeable on the circuit. There's a lot more contrast to delivery. There's a lot of contrast to this circuit as well at Nürburgring. We're on the shorter layout here with 13 corners involved. We don't go down towards the Dunlop Kehrer and the Michael Schumacher S's up the hill, but it means there's a very tight hairpin just after the first sector. It is definitely a circuit of two halves, though. You've got the Mercedes arena and then the tight hairpin coming after it. And then as you head down towards the Bilstein curve and Ad van Bogen into the chicane at the end of the lap, there's a lot of very high-speed corners, a very slow chicane, but a lot of smooth parts to that section as well. So you really have to be good at handling the truck in all environments here. You have to be able to know exactly what it's going to do in the high-speed sections, but also really know how to wrangle it when it comes to the tight and twisty, slow stuff, just to get it nailed over the course of a lap here, because there are lots of opportunities to get it wrong around a track as tough as this. We wait now, though, for our beautiful Iveco S-Way to lead the field away from the starting line. And just for a moment, actually, some cloud cover appears over the circuit. Since the qualifying session finished and the Mittelrhein Cup went out earlier on, it's been absolutely baking hot. There's been constant sunshine all the way through. And it's almost like the weather wants us to have an even more spiced up race by cooling the temperatures somewhat before we get back underway. There is Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort, by the way, in the white number 15 machine, ready to try and do his best from the back of the pack. But there is the gorgeous Iveco S-Way pace truck, and if you look at the side of this thing, you'll see the humongous bio-LNG tanks on the side of it. When you see these Ivecos on the road, you'll notice those tanks now. When you go down the highway, you'll see them. They're very easily identifiable at the side of these machines. It does often, obviously, mean that they are bio-LNG powered, reduces emissions by over 90%, and it doesn't really make any effect in terms of power or torque. You can still get a lot of power and obviously a lot of torque out of these machines as well. We've got our very own wonderful Frank the Tank driving the pace truck. Frank is a very talented individual, very good behind the wheel. He knows exactly what the truck is going to do and when, and I can tell you for free that, especially here last year, he scared me many a time in that Iveco S-Way. It's a very, very pokey bit of equipment for its size. Norbert Kish starts on pole position then with Sascha Lenz alongside him, two of the drivers that have competed for the championship in the last 2 seasons. And the other man that's been up there with them is, of course, Jochen Hahn, joining them on the top sort of couple of positions of the grid anyway. Jamie Anderson alongside him on row 2, happy with his qualifying. Antonio Albacete just behind him in 5th place, but on the other side of the grid, Andrei Kurzim starting in 6th position. And then we have the man that was an absolute star last year, Lucas Hahn. He took his 2nd race win outright at Poznan just a few weeks ago. Steffi Halm joins him on row 4. Then we have Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, 2nd in the Promoters' Cup on this grid, and he is ahead of Mark Taylor, who got into Superpole once again with another strong performance as his season continues to improve and improve. Stefan Faas is next up, looking for a lot more points from this first race of the day to hopefully close in on Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in the Promoters' Cup Championship. He's alongside Heinrich Clemens Hecker. Then we have Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort and Louis Requenco on the 7th row of the grid. And on the 8th row, all on his own, unfortunately, but looking forward to a good race, is going to be John Newell. John's certainly fired up for this weekend and ready to go. I believe he had a slight technical with the truck earlier on in the weekend, so they've been trying to overcome that slightly and rectify it as the weekend goes on. But John's always got a positive outlook, and so has everybody in there as well. Everybody in the garage certainly excited for this race, although most of them looking very nervous as of right now. There's a set of huge timing screens in one of the garages. I think it's where the Vega Solutions guys are, actually, where all of the actual progress for the broadcasting and so on gets ready. Or everybody gets set up anyway. There was somebody holding a massive board out there just a moment ago. I'm not quite sure what said board said, but I can't see them now, unfortunately. There was definitely someone on the infield, maybe just telling them to chill out. But it's time, everybody. The red lights are on, and the first race of the weekend in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship is go. And Norbert Kish gets a decent getaway, but Sascha Lenz has got a really good run on the left-hand side. And look at that, Jamie Anderson almost bump drafting him. He is giving him a bump down the start, finish straight down towards turn 1. And Jochen Hahn hugs the inside line from Jamie to make sure that Jamie can't cut in and gain a position from him. But let's not forget, the second corner is a left-hander. They all run wide as everyone tries to push as hard as they can through the first corner. Norbert Kish wants to tuck in front of Sascha Lenz and swoop around the outside. I don't quite think he's going to do it. I think there might have been a tap there, actually, as Norby gets slightly out of shape. And unlike most races we've seen before, Sascha Lenz has actually got a nose in front here in the opening corners, but now they're going to go back down to the right-hand side. Norby's going to have the inside line, but Sascha's going to have the wider line and the faster speed run off the corner. Can he do anything as they go now down towards the hairpin, down at Kurzanbindung? Jamie Anderson in there as well has got ahead of Jochen Hahn. Jamie locks up on the brakes, and he's gone into the side of Sascha Lenz, and the two of them run straight on. Oh, dearie me, the contact was definitely not intentional by Jamie, but just pushing very hard indeed on the brakes. Lost it, went sideways into Sascha Lenz. The two of them go off, and now Antonio Albacete's around the outside of the number 33 machine. Sascha's dropped a bunch more places. John Newell there has got ahead of Louis Requenco. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is defending from Stefan Faas as Lucas Hahn stays in front of him. And, of course, Mark Taylor up there in the Promoters' Cup as well. Antonio Albacete defending from Jamie Anderson, but that now means that trucks 1 and 2 are positions 1 and 2. Norbert Kish ahead of Jochen Hahn. Looks like Jamie Anderson was trying it down the inside into the hairpin, into the chicane, but then backed out of it, decided better of it. Steffi Halm just behind him in 5th position as well. But Norby leads the way, and that will have been a very welcome sight for Norbert Kish, that contact, because it meant then that he did not have to worry too much about Sascha Lenz trying to come through. Some of the fans trackside definitely videoing that on their phones. That's going to get shared all over Instagram later on. But Norbert Kish in Baloo leads the way, and look at the field spreading out. As I said earlier, in a lot of these sessions, you don't need to sit behind the truck in front of you. There's not really any point, because sure, you might get a little bit of slipstream getting up to 100 miles an hour or 160 kilometers an hour. But once you get there, there's no point pushing past that, really, because all you're going to be doing then is, well, one, breaking the rules if you go over 100 miles an hour, but two, you're also just going to be heating up your own engine for no reason. You're not going to gain anything from doing that. So there's no point trying to push past and obviously heat up your engine. So Norbert Kish leads. Jochen Hahn second, Antonio Albacete third, Jamie Anderson next up. And then Andrei Kurzim starts is under investigation, so not sure whether that's meaning that somebody has been out of position or whether somebody's jumped the start potentially. Have to see whether any penalties come through from that, as Mark Taylor is off the road. I think he was side by side with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez for a moment there. He's back down the inside now, side by side with his other Promoters Cup rival, Stefan Faas. Jose Eduardo leads the Promoters Cup coming into this. Mark Taylor was only 20 points behind Stefan Faas, and he was 9 points ahead of John Newell as well. John has gained, I think, another place at the back of the field. Although, where's he gone, actually? Mark Taylor is showing us in 15th place on the timing screen for some reason. But John Newell has seemingly disappeared. I can't see him in the field. He's actually lost 11 seconds on the truck ahead, which is Louis Ruquenko, so I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. You could see John actually just a moment ago in the background. So real shame for John. Not a clue what's happened there, but hopefully we will find out at some point. Look at Sascha Lenz all over the back of Andrei Kurzim, really pushing hard to try and get past his countryman. He'll be really, really angry after that first start. Obviously having such a great initial start to battle with Norbert Kish, and look at him darting around behind Andrei Kurzim, trying to put him off, trying to say, look, I'm going to make a move now. I'm going to throw it down the inside, just trying to sell him the dummy, as they call it. He's got Steffi Hahn behind. You can see that wheel arch flapping around a little bit there in the wind, as the wheel obviously generates a lot of cyclic air, throwing that up in the air. Apparently there's a bit of debris in turn 5 as well. I believe bodywork that came off Jamie Anderson's truck. It was quite a big hit in the side though, and they've both carried on without any major issues by the look of it. Sascha's certainly at pace. Mark Taylor we just caught a glimpse of there, staying ahead of the machine behind of Stefan Faas, just on the edges of the top 10. One thing to keep an eye on is obviously the top 8 positions are basically what forms the reverse grid for the second race of the weekend. Said second race will be tomorrow morning just after 9 a.m. We only have the one race today, and this will be the last of my commentary duties today. We then have race 2 coming up tomorrow, and then we have the Mittelrhein Cup race 2 coming up tomorrow as well as then another qualifying and Super Pole session, and then another ETRC race. Here's a look back at the start then. So Jamie Anderson pushing Sascha Lenz down the start-finish straight. Nothing wrong there, just a bit of friendly bump drafting. I don't think there was contact with Norby and Sascha Lenz there. I don't think there was much contact in the background. Let's just see as they go around here. Is there a tap? I don't think there is, you know. I think Norby just upsets the truck himself. Not quite sure. It's not like Norby to do something like that, so maybe there was a little bit of contact. I can't be too sure. Sascha Lenz got quite lucky there, actually, because he slotted back into the field right in the middle of it. I think Jamie had to slam on the brakes to not go into the back of Norbert Kish, and then it's quite a side-on impact, so I think they both got away with that. They may have lost places and lost time, but I think that was the best outcome it could have been, so they didn't go into the barriers or have a bigger accident. Oh, that was close there from Lucas Hahn and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the Portuguese driver, just trying to sneak his way around the outside. Owen Klein-Nagelvoort is under investigation for overspeeding. I mentioned a moment ago that the championship has a speed limit of 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour. If you are deemed to be overspeeding by the GPS system, then you will get a telling off or at least a penalty. And 9 times out of 10, when somebody is under investigation for overspeeding, they are going to get a penalty not long after. Owen Klein-Nagelvoort all over the back of Stefan Faas, which is nice to see, because admittedly, last season when Erwin joined us in the championship, they didn't quite have the truck up to pace and he didn't really get stuck into many fights. The incident between Sasha Lenz and Jamie Anderson is under investigation, as you would have seen before. Hopefully the rest of the racing remains clean, just like the fuel we use, which is 100% renewable HVO diesel, like you see there. And as Christina rightly pointed out earlier, there's not really anything in terms of any visible emissions, any black smoke, or even a smell from the trucks as well. There's not like usual diesel smell in the air. It's quite incredible, really. It's a very clean form of racing because often, admittedly, when people hear truck racing, they think big diesel guzzling machines. And yes, sure, they do use a bit of diesel, but it's very, very clean diesel at that. It's the finest that you can get. And there is a 10-second time penalty to Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort for overspeeding. I told you they do very often get penalties for it, unfortunately, when the investigation has begun. Thanks to the wonderful Franz Steilberg as well at the FIA, who's providing me with information in the background. He said that truck 18, which is John Newell, has unfortunately had a suspension failure, potentially a leaf spring broken on that machine. So that's a big, big shame for John. But thank you again to Franz for the information. As we see Lucas Hahn chasing down Steffi Halm, trying to get through for 8th position. Lucas leading the Promoters' Cup at the moment, and it would be a perfect situation, actually, if he can finish where he is. Sure, he might get 1 or 2 extra overall championship points if he finishes ahead of Steffi, but if he can finish there in 8th place, he will not only win the Promoters' Cup in this race, but with the reverse grid, he would start on pole position with his nearest rival in the Promoters' Cup, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, starting 9th on the grid. So he'd had 7 trucks between himself and his nearest rival in that category. So that would be a perfect scenario for Lucas. But obviously, these are racing drivers. You try and tell him not to try and overtake the truck in front, yeah? Just see how that goes. I mean, to be fair, Lucas would probably listen. He's a lovely lad. He's very smiley and very happy. That looked like Mark Taylor off, and it was Mark Taylor off. Wow, he's nearly done the entire Grand Prix circuit there. He's nearly done a full lap of the Nordschleife. He's absolutely gone straight on there, down at turn 5. Not a clue what caused that for Mark. Hopefully no sort of failure that will take him out of the race, but he was looking really good up to that point. But unfortunately, the British drivers further towards the tail end of the field now. John Newell has come into the pit lane. And there's a look back at it, and he's just locked up a brake on the way in, hasn't he? You can see that front left was completely locked up. He goes straight on, and he's very lucky it didn't beach itself there. It's not really a gravel trap or anything, so I think he got quite lucky with that. It's just very thick grass down there. It's quite dusty, so it looked a lot more dramatic than I think it was, but he did a good job getting it stopped. As, oh my goodness me, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, with a lot of bodywork missing on the front right and visible debris. I think that's actually come from the Goodyear sponsor sign there on the right-hand side of the shot. He's gone straight on down there at turn 7. Now that would usually, in that sort of precarious position, cause some form of at least stoppage to the race, but hopefully not. Sasha Lenz now has got ahead of Andrei Kurzim. He moves ahead going into the Mercedes arena now, up into 5th position for Sasha. So a good recovery drive from the man in purple. But it's not the race he would have been expecting after starting 2nd on the grid. Lucas Hahn still all over the back of Steffi Halm. And there's Jamie Anderson sliding in the background there in his pursuit of Antonio Albacete. The Spaniard going well at the moment in 3rd place. Lucas Hahn is now alongside Steffi Halm. This would put him 2nd on the grid for the next race instead of on pole. The 2 Germans in the 2 Ivecos side by side in their almost identical liveries. They look fantastic, these trucks. Steffi pushes him on the way out of the corner, saying, go on then, get on with it. Crack on, son. And Lucas does indeed crack on. Now another position gained for him, up into 7th place, and more overall championship points for the young German. Now Steffi sits behind in truck 44, back down into 8th position. And here is another look at the move. He gets a great run, actually, out of turn 4. A little bit later on the brakes into turn 5. And great respect, it must be said, from Steffi there. She left the room, gave racing room to him, and then slotted in nicely behind. And then, look, just a little bump there on the exit, and through they go. Oh, Lucas is actually going a little bit deep into the final corner there. Look, Steffi just gives it a stab on the brakes, turns the front end in, gets a great run off the corner. Oh, and she's going to have him back here, surely, because they'll both get to 100 miles an hour around the same time. They aren't able to then extend past that, and then they'll be on the brakes into the first corner together. There's Norbert Kish off in the distance over the horizon, as he so often is. It was looking like a very exciting challenge, actually, from Sascha Lenz at the very start of the race. But unfortunately, no more. But Norby will be happy about that, at least, as he cruises out front. Jochen Hahn just behind in the Iveco S-Way. 4.4 seconds between those guys at the minute. And Norby is just now doing qualifying lap after qualifying lap. It's one of his sort of proudest traits in this championship is that he can do qualifying pace in the race. A lot of the time with drivers and competitors in motorsport, you'll see that in qualifying, when they have that extra push to put a lap time down when they really need it to get a good spot on the grid, they will be quite a bit quicker than their race pace. But Norby and the guys at Revace Racing have perfected the art of being just as quick in the race as they can be in qualifying. A move by Steffi Halmers put her in front now of Lucas Hahn as we look at Stefan Faas chased down by Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort. Erwin doing a great job at the moment in the DAF, and they've just behind them got the other Scania, which is Stefan Faas's teammate, Heinrich Clemens Hecker, truck number 25, a great looking bit of kit. Very mean machine with that very square cab of the Scania. It's one of its main sort of visual features is that it's not got the smooth rounded off edges. Like if you look at Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort's DAF, it looks like somebody sanded the edges off nice and smoothly, but the Scania is very square, very aggressive shape. And Heinrich Clemens Hecker's bodywork on his truck exaggerates that even more so. And then you add the livery on top and it's a really mean machine. But Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort, the Dutch driver, doing everything he can in his power at the moment to stick right behind Stefan Faas. The two of them running wide out the final corner. Penalty marker gets smacked by the pair of them. Erwin stays just in a straight line as they go up through the gears down towards turn 1. As you'll see on the gantry there, it's nearly 5 p.m. here in Germany at the Nürburgring. It's not very often that we race up to this time of day. We're usually done by 4 o'clock in the afternoon on our race days, but it's a very busy schedule this weekend, this being the first race, and then we have 2 tomorrow and then 1 on Sunday. So it's all very spread out. As we have here Mark Taylor now getting back at Louis Requenco, trying to get back in front for 12th position. And I believe getting the job done down into turn 1. I'm really intrigued by what happened to Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. You can see the flattened Goodyear sponsor sort of board on the left-hand side there that's been thrown around. But I really don't have a clue what has caused that, whether there was contact and then suddenly it went straight on, whether he broke a steering arm or something. I'm really not sure. I must say, Andre Kursim's having a good race at the moment. 6th position right now. Again, having quite an under-the-radar performance, but still a good one. That's what Andre does. He's usually staying out of trouble and putting in a very good job. As still, there is a fantastic, fantastic challenge from Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort on Stefan Faas. And I think, to be fair, before the race is done, Erwin's going to have a pop at this and he's going to try and get by. He's just filling his mirrors at the moment, putting the pressure on. And also putting the pressure on still is Lucas Hahn. And another thank you to Steve Miller, good friend of mine in the paddock, saying that the centre bolt on John Newell's spring is what's gone. And that's caused the suspension failure, which has unfortunately ended John's race. And to be fair, Steve probably knows that already because the guys will be down there helping fix the truck already. There's such a friendly community in this paddock of people coming together and fixing one another's trucks. We've seen it many a time. Even with T-Sport Benau last year at Most, there was a huge engine failure for Antonio Albacete, and everybody was doing a great job of coming together and helping them replace the entire engine with the crane and all sorts. And there you go, there's a 10-second time penalty for Andre Kursim for overspeeding, so maybe a bit of a commentator's curse there by yours truly, which will drop him down a position. And that will mean that, effectively, with that penalty, Stefan Faas would move up into 8th place, and that would put him on pole position for race 2. So we'll have to check by the end of the race what the times are between the drivers. Basically, the little gap that you see there, the time next to Kurzim's sort of 3-digit analogy on the left. Not analogy, I do apologise, it's not an analogy, is it? But it's the acronym, let's say, for Andrei Kurzim, the KUR. You'll see the 19.006 there. That's how far behind the leader he is. So all you've got to do is just add 10 onto that and then place him somewhere in between. He'd just be ahead of Stefan Faas, actually, right now. Stefan and Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort have both dropped off a little bit over this lap so far, as they push one another and battle. So it's 19.321 for Kurzim at the moment, as Steffi Halm monsters the curbs at the chicane, runs a little bit deep on the exit. And Lucas Hahn does his best to stay with her. He's actually lost a bit of time to her on this lap. But the gap now to Stefan Faas is 29.671. So, yeah, Kurzim would not actually drop down behind Stefan Faas. And Kurzim, because of his penalty, would end up on pole position. Very interesting development for Andre. He may lose 2 places and a couple of championship points from it. But pole position would be quite the interesting reward for him. I imagine he'd quite enjoy that. Norbert Kish continues to lead, though, 6 seconds almost to the good now over Jochen Hahn in 2nd place. Antonio Albacete on for some silverware in 3rd position. Jamie Anderson a couple of seconds back from him, but still pushing on to try and challenge the Spaniard right at the front. Another shout out as well to the wonderful people behind the scenes giving me information. Alice Holloway letting me know that apparently Jose Eduardo Rodriguez just slowly drove to a stop and pulled up at turn 7. Apparently a technical failure, probably one of the twiddly bits underneath that's gone slightly awry and needs fixing. Hopefully it is something that can be easily fixed for these guys, though. I mean, they've got a lot longer than usual between races 1 and 2, because he's got, well, nearly a good... No, I can't do maths. I'm not even going to try. Norbert Kish leads the race. I know that much. 6.5 seconds now to the good, ahead of Jochen Hahn. He's also got a couple of seconds over Antonio Albacete as well. And then Jamie Anderson and Lenz and then Kurzim and Halm have all got a couple of seconds each. So they've all got their own little buffer at the moment just to manage their own race going into the final moments. The counter on the left, by the way, is how many laps we've completed. So we're now on lap 11 out of 12. They've just entered the penultimate lap of the race, so Norbert Kish just needs to keep it tidy for 2 more circulations. And, well, if we know Norby, he's certainly going to keep it on the black stuff, isn't he? It's very rare to see a mistake from Norbert Kish. He's so consistent and so fast as well. As in the background there was a fantastic battle as Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort moved out to the right-hand side of Stefan Faas to try the move. Not sure he's going to be able to get it done down the start-finish straight into turn 1. But they have to think about Heinrich Clemens-Hecker behind them as well, because if it all goes wrong for them, they're just going to give up plenty of points in the Promoters' Cup. There's Louis Requenco in truck 64. One of the prettiest trucks on the grid, I have to say. I am usually a fan of trucks that are covered in sponsors with loads of logos everywhere and a very busy design. But if I'm honest with you, Louis Requenco's really clean green machine looks fantastic. It's very sleek with the new Iveco S-Way bodywork. It's the ex-René Reinert truck, actually. Fans of the championship that have watched us before will remember René Reinert from many a season. Very experienced truck racer, very accomplished truck racer as well. Unfortunately, René not racing with us anymore. He had an injury, actually, at the start of the previous season and then shared the truck with a couple of other drivers and ultimately has now sold it to Louis Requenco, who's finding his feet in it. He's getting faster and faster all the time. He's had a couple of race meetings where he's been right up there in the Promoters' Cup as well, but then a little bit inconsistent with his pace. There's other times where he seems to struggle slightly with getting that truck properly set up. But it's great to have him with us time and time again. And it's good to see him here for a full campaign as well, actually. I think it's his first season doing a full campaign with us. But over the years, he's always done race-by-race entries and appeared at just some of the rounds. But this battle's still not fixed yet, still not sorted out. Stefan Faas ahead of Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort and then Heinrich Clemens-Hecker. As Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort has tried it a little bit too hard there, and Heinrich Clemens Hecker goes through. Here's a bit of slow-mo footage. Jamie Anderson and Sasha Lenz. Sasha's actually caught back up to Jamie now, and with that mistake, Sasha has gone through into 4th position. I was saying before they all had a little buffer to play with, but it seems like Sasha has eaten into Jamie's buffer, and now all of a sudden goes through, and away he goes. And there is the moment once again. Jamie just pushing it a little bit too hard on the exit of the chicane. And now Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort trying to get back at Heinrich Clemens Hecker to regain that position. They go hot into turn 1. The two of them very close together, nearly contact as Heinrich Clemens just somehow tucks the front end of that truck back around. But it's currently Norbert Kisch leading the way. I say currently like that's going to change. It probably is not. It's been another textbook brilliant performance by Norby. Great entertainment between Steffi Halm and Lucas Hahn a little bit further down the order. But Norbert Kisch now heads up into the final chicane one more time here at the Nürburgring to complete the first race of the weekend. And Big Red Baloo looking wonderful in the sunshine. Great surface reflections there at the Nürburgring. And the Hungarian is going to continue his championship leading build as he slides the back end out, has a little bit of a drift out the final corner. And Norbert Kisch takes the first race win of the weekend at the Nürburgring at the International ADAC Truck Grand Prix. Well done to Norby and well done to Reveche Racing. Jochen Hahn finishing in 2nd place, and 3rd place going the way of Antonio Albacete. A good result for him. Great start to his weekend. And across the line goes Andrei Kurzim. Now let's have a look at what Kurzim's gap is to the trucks behind. Steffi Halm and Lucas Hahn side by side to the line. But it is Lucas Hahn that is going to take the victory in the Promoters Cup as well. He's going to finish in that category ahead of Stefan Faas, who is next up. And Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort, on his first appearance this season, even with a bit of damage on the side of his truck, has taken a podium in the category. Very well done to him after a really busy race there with Heinrich Clemens Hecker. Stefan Faas getting his weekend off to a good start as well in his pursuit, of course, of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez at the front of the pack. It's a real shame that we obviously lost Jose Eduardo Rodriguez from that race, but not a sure clue of what the heck has gone on with his truck. So apologies for not knowing. As now we see some drifting from Jochen Hahn as he chases down Norbert Kisch on the cool-down lap. Plenty of entertainment here at the Nürburgring, and especially by our race drivers as well. I would have expected some more drifting from Norby as well, to be fair. He's normally one that loves a bit of drifting. But there's your top three drivers that have all won championships before, actually, and there's 13 titles between our top 3 finishers. 6 from Jochen Hahn, 4 from Norbert Kisch, and 3 from Antonio Albacete. Good result there for Sasha Lenz and for Jamie Anderson, both scoring big points inside the top 5 despite their contact earlier on in the race. And now the drivers make their way back into the pit lane to obviously cool the trucks down and celebrate their results. A big shame for John Newell, though, to drop out of that race also. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez not making it to the flag either. And Mark Taylor, unfortunately, dropping down after starting 10th on the grid with real promise from qualifying. Mark having that moment off into the grass. He did recover to overtake Louis Requenco, but in the end, not enough for any overall championship points, but still points in the Promoters Cup. Mark actually finished 5th place in the category in that one, so top 5. Not a bad result at all. Some of the trucks will be waved straight into the paddock, but the top 3 will be brought into the specific spots within the pit lane to rounds of applause and celebration with their fellow drivers and teams. And there's the incredibly loud horn of Baloo. Very, very loud indeed. Jochen Hahn next up in the Iveco. Lovely shot of it there, rocking to a stop. Truck 2, P2 for Jochen. He'll be happy with that on home soil. And then Antonio Albacetti and T-Sport Bernau after a really tough weekend. And obviously a race win at the Poznan circuit, Tour Poznan, a couple of weeks ago. They knew they'd had a rough weekend, so they come here with a lot of hope and have managed to get a podium after starting in 5th place on the grid. I'm sure Sascha Lenz won't be too much of a happy bunny though after starting on the front row, but it does mean that he'll be ahead of most of his rivals come the second race of the day. Andre Kurzin was 25 seconds behind Norbert Kish by the end, and he would have still been ahead of Stefan Fast. So Kurzin will be on pole position for race 2, with Lucas Hahn alongside him on the front row. And then it'll be Steffi Halm as well behind them, so 3 Ivecos right near the front. Jochen having a look at Norby's truck or something there, not quite sure what he was doing, but having a look at something. Heads over to celebrate with the team. And very well done from everybody involved there from Team Hahn Racing. More silverware for the absolute warehouse of trophies that Jochen's probably got right now. That'll be his 100 and, sorry, I'm counting the wrong number, 281 podiums for Jochen Hahn. Norbert Kish racks up his 88th career victory and wins by just under 8 seconds. Antonio Albacetti finishes in 3rd place. Another great podium for him, as he now gets 286 podiums, only 6 ahead of Jochen. Then it's Sascha Lenz in 4th. Jamie Anderson gets a top 5 ahead of Steffi Halm after her great battle with Lucas Hahn. Andre Kurzin finishes 8th, and then it's Stefan Fast and Heinrich Clemens Hecker rounding out the 7 German drivers inside the top 10. Then it was Erwin Klein-Nagelvort. Sorry, Erwin, I'll get your name right one day. And then ahead of Mark Taylor and Louis Requenco, with, of course, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and, of course, then John Newell not making the flag. We're going to go straight down to Christina, though, who's going to get an interview together for us.
Yes, and this is always nice. They're chatting and I have my ear in. Yeah, it's just the talk about the techniques. So, Norbert, if you don't mind, we do a victory interview. Congratulations to the podium. Antonio Albacetti, we need to go to the wall, of course. This is the famous interview wall here at the Goodyear FIA ETRC. First race in the books. Congratulations with a lead of 7 seconds, 060. You won this first race here at Nürburgring. How happy are you?
Yeah, very. Good race. A little bit tight, too tight at the beginning. Because, at the start, I think we could do the same with Sascha. But on the first turn, I made a little bit of a mistake because I locked up the front right. Even though I tried to be careful because I kind of knew that the track is going to be slippery. But still.
So you felt that Jamie Anderson was behind you and he needed to go on the brakes, and then was that the situation?
That was a couple of turns later. This was right at the first turn where I made a mistake. So Sascha did a good job on the outside and he could stay there on the outside. So that was the inside for him in turn 2. So we touched a little bit in turn 2, but I could catch the track and stay straight and keep going. And then I tried to stay on the outside of Sascha. So yeah, we went side by side for a good 3 or 4 turns. And then, Jamie was arriving from behind, which, I kind of heard as well that he locked the brakes, and I also see it in my rear view camera. And for a moment I was worried that he will hit me, but then he hit Sascha. And then, from then it was much more clear for me because immediately I got a little bit of a gap and then could stay in front and then do my pace, which is really good. So, I am really happy. Really good job from the team, from Reyes Racing team, good track again, good setup again. And it's the track is a little bit, the surface is a little bit slippery after the GT cars with the GT tires. And, I think the tires are mixing on the circuit, which makes it a little bit difficult. But we try to do the best we can.
Absolutely. Now we try to go to the podium. We've got a taxi, a cab was waiting for us. We're going to the cab. Chaz, please cover a couple more minutes and then we just go to the cab. This direction, please.
My pleasure, Christina. Yes, Norbert Kish, of course, another victory in the books, but it just shows you how aware that all the drivers are of what's going on around them, showing off the fact that they could clearly see what the situation was behind with Jamie Anderson and Sasha Lenz. A real shame to see that contact, but a great recovery drive from both of them still to finish within the top 5. Just Jamie there slamming on the brakes to make sure that he didn't go into the back, of course, of the car, the truck in front, but ultimately just lost the back end. Here's some of the shots from the middle of the race, though. Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort doing a great job of chasing down Stefan Faster at that race. Did overdo it slightly and then got overtaken again. But we're going to very quickly go back down to Christina.
Thank you very much. And we got quickly our camera sorted. So I'm right now here. This is kind of nice. The ETRC shuttle to the podium with all the winners inside. Jochen Hahn ranked number 2. I think we're still on air. So how this was really spectacular, this race. And as soon as you saw the gap, because Sasha Lenz was out, so what was the race then for you?
You know, first of all, I have not so a bad start, but then Jamie have I don't know what he do on the start, but on the 180 degree, I have a smile like, you know, like flowers or like hell, or I say thank you, Jamie, thank you, Sasha, and now we make a race. But to follow him, it's impossible.
I can understand.
It's like, I don't know. I found no words. Respect, that's it.
Respect, absolutely. Dankeschön, as he said. And of course, right now, a bit gap in between you because Norbert Kirsch is sitting in the back in case he doesn't.
He have 6 seconds he's in the front, but he play. You know, that's the shame. You play with us. You can go 12 seconds in front. Yeah. That's the truth.
That's absolutely the truth. Just the truth in this car. And what happens in this car stays in this car. It's just we are live on YouTube.
It's managing the pace, you know, managing the tires, you know, like in Formula 1.
I see your tires. Do you not manage the front left tire? I look to them.
And as always, Antonio Albacete is staying out of trouble. The last weekend was very mixed feelings. You said you had bad luck, and right now you end up on podium after the first race. Does that give you something back for the team also?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have very bad luck in the last race, but here we have, I think it's the karma, you know, we have the good luck back. Yeah, I see Jamie was braking, I don't know how, very late, or I don't know how he missed the brakes. He pushed Sacha out, and then I got the inside. We got side by side, and then I have the inside for the next corner, and I can't go through. So since then I tried to follow Jochen, but it was making a small gap each time, you know, so I just said, okay, I will keep behind. I mean, third place is perfect for me, and I saw that Jamie was not able to catch me. So yeah, perfect, very good.
And this is perfect. Right now, we are at the podium, ladies and gentlemen.
But quite frankly, I think we need to do I think we need to drive to all of our podiums and have a sort of podcast with the drivers in the cab. I think that was fantastically entertaining. So thank you very much, Christina, for giving us that shot. Great to hear the banter between the drivers as well, of course. Jochen there saying, "I've seen your tyres, Norby. I know you're not pushing them. I know you're not pushing them and you're managing them." Still, a great first race of the weekend in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Great first opening moments for Sasha Lenz, really taking the fight to Norbert Kirsch. Big drama, though, as Jamie Anderson outdoes it on the brakes. And as Jochen said, he had a smile on his face like flowers in the wind and just managed to carry on, take second place, and then try and chase down Norby for the rest of the race. Loads of drama in the middle of the field as well. Great battles in the Promoters' Cup between Lucas Hahn and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. The latter, unfortunately, retiring from the race before the end. Mark Taylor throwing it off into the grass, but luckily able to continue. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez there pulling over to one side. Lucas Hahn and Steffi Helm had a great fight in the middle of the field. Ultimately, Steffi coming out on top there in 7th position, or 6th position, after the penalty for Andrei Kurzim, and Lucas Hahn finishing in 7th. But now that Andrei Kurzim has that penalty, he will start on the pole position for the second race tomorrow morning. And then we have another qualifying session, and then another race in the afternoon. So it's going to be a really interesting mixed-up day tomorrow. Really looking forward to what the races have in store. Hopefully more action from the Promoters' Cup drivers like we had there as well. Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort, a very welcome addition to the championship this weekend, really getting his elbows out and enjoying some of the racing. But Norbert Kirsch takes another win, Jochen Hahn finishes in 2nd place, and Antonio Albacete finishes in 3rd. And they're going to make their way to the podium in just a moment's time, which is down there in what they call the event area of the paddock. And then they'll all, of course, get ready to receive their trophies. And there is everybody all gathered around the podium. Loads of cameramen and media all ready to go. I can see on... I have a second live feed, actually, for this weekend, which is really cool, because they have what they call the fan TV here at the Nürburgring. So there's almost a constant feed for the fans to watch and listen to, so they know what is going on all over the circuit and all over the venue. And I know the drivers are all having a good laugh behind the scenes there and having a chat. They've got a great shot of them, actually, on the secondary feed right now, showing what they're all up to. There's Csaba Bako on the left-hand side, and Janine as well, who's one of the championship coordinators, making sure everybody is in the right place at the right time. And we'll start with the overall podium. Antonio Albacete finishing third in that race for their first trophy of the weekend. Jochen Hahn finishing in second position. Another great drive by Jochen. And Norbert Kish, reigning champion, four-time champion, once again on the top step of the podium, with his very well-accomplished colleagues as well. And now they're going to bring the trophies out for our drivers, presented one at a time, and usually in reverse order.
From Spain.
Beautiful trophies as well at the Nürburgring this weekend. Very lovely to see.
The trophy for
Antonio holds the third place trophy high. Very happy with that one. Big smile on his face. Like I say, a great start to their weekend. And the very well-loved Jochen Hahn, a superstar, no matter where we go in Europe, but especially here in Germany at the Nürburgring. And a big round of applause for Norbert Kish.
And now it's time.
And now we'll get the national anthem of Hungary for our race winner.
Hungary for the winner. Kish, the winner from race 1.
And there we go. Round of applause for Norbert Kish. And he's joined by great company up there on the podium, to say the least.
And now it's time to take.
And the guys will now join each other on the top step for their pictures. And we've got three very happy drivers right now. It's such a cool event here at the Nürburgring, and it really does mean a lot to these guys to get some silverware on the board as quickly as they can.
And now, I think...
And one of the Tank Pool 24 supporters there waving to our cameraman. Oh. Well, apparently champagne early, but these guys want to change their hats. They usually get pictures with their second hats as well. I'm not sure they're going to soak each other just yet. Although, then again, we don't have another race today. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But no, everybody in the crowd getting drenched instead.
And from Spain, Antonio Albacete. This is the
And have a well-deserved swig of the champagne there for Jochen Hahn.
Grand Prix here at the Nürburgring. Thank you.
And all of our drivers once again embracing the great positive spirit that this event carries. In just a moment, we will get the Promoters Cup drivers up there, but here's a first look at the championship standings after that race. And Norbert Kish takes the win and takes a bigger lead in the championship as a result. 35 points clear now of Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete next up in third place, tied on points with Sascha Lenz after that race. They were very close to each other before this. Antonio now jumps just back in front and goes up to third. Sascha Lenz fourth ahead of Andrei Kurzim. Then we have Steffi Halm and Jamie Anderson. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez slips down to 8th with Stefan Faas and Lucas Hahn rounding out your top 10. Behind them is Mark Taylor on 20 points, John Newell on 15, and then a three-way tie between Jonathan Andre, Heinrich Clemensecker, and Louis Requenco. So that was the 13th race of the championship. Once we've completed this weekend, we'll have done 16 of the 32 races for this season. as Jochen there gets lots of pictures taken with his fans. There's so many fantastic supporters. There's Ollie Sittler as well, ready to potentially do an interview for the fan TV that I mentioned. Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, third in the category, actually, ahead of Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort, because Erwin unfortunately got a penalty, didn't he? So 10 seconds added to Erwin means that Heinrich Clemens-Hecker gets a podium. And we have on the podium with them 2 German drivers as well, Stefan Faas and Lukas Hahn, an all-German podium, actually.
Trophy for P2. Goes to Stefan Faas.
And there you go, Stefan Faas gets his trophy for second place. Tank Pool 24, very popular around these parts. And Lukas Hahn starting his weekend, as he did last season as well, with a victory in the Promoters' Cup. A great cheer there from Diana Hahn as well. And now I believe we will get the national anthem of Germany.
The second podium from race.
And there you go. The Promoters' Cup podium here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, round 13 of 32 in the 2023 season. And it is Lukas Hahn that finishes on the top step with his countryman, Stefan Faas. And as you see, the ridiculously tall Clemens-Hecker joining him over on the right-hand side.
Stefan Faas, Clemens-Hecker.
Very well done to all 3 of them. They must be over the moon to have such a great result on home soil here at the Nürburgring. And the hats get thrown into the crowd. And now they're going to get some champagne. And let's see who's quick on the draw with this, shall we? Lucas pretending that he's going to spray both of the other guys at point-blank range. But instead, it's the people at the side of the stage that get soaked, and he is going to get Heinrich Clemens-Hecker. Fantastic. Great entertainment. He's a lovely lad, is Lukas Hahn, a real entertainer. And at the end of the day, they've got plenty of time to dry out their overalls before the racing gets back underway tomorrow. Like I said earlier, we've got the next race of the weekend for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship just after 9 a.m. tomorrow. We've then got qualifying 2 just after 1:30, and then race 3 of the weekend taking place just after 5 p.m. Here's a look at the Promoters' Cup Championship standings as they are now. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez leads the way on 155 points, but that result helps Stefan Faas close in by quite a lot. 18 points now the gap. He's ahead of Mark Taylor in 3rd place. John Newell is only 17 points behind. Then we have Louis Requenco in 5th place, ahead of Lukas Hahn in 6th, but he's now got 75 points to his name, 20 ahead of Heinrich Clemens-Hecker. Jonathan Andre and Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort still gets points despite the penalty, and he's now on 10. And now a bit of calm actually falls over the circuit for once, which is interesting to see. And it won't be long now until on the start-finish straight, everybody will start what is known as the Go and Stop competition, which is a lot of massive entertainment. I'm going to be making my way down there very, very soon. But the celebrations continue as the team's podium gets underway. And all the drivers, as you can see there, and their team and their crews will be celebrating their results. But we're going to go back down to Christina, who's back there in the paddock with us.
Time to take some photos.
Yeah, great atmosphere here with Lukas Hahn and a little smell of champagne, but I think Clemens-Hecker has more to deal with that. What was that for a situation? Because you waited very, very long, like a race driver, and then you pushed at the end.
Yeah, you mean in the race behind Steffi?
No, I mean first of all the podium with Clemens-Hecker.
Yeah, on the podium. Yeah, I was just waiting, and yeah, I hear the atmosphere around me, and everybody said, "Come on, why no champagne?" And then in the end, we do some champagne. It's also to celebrate the win, and also with the other drivers, because P2 and P3 is also a good position.
Absolutely, all German podium. Let's talk about the race then. As you already mentioned, how was the situation there for you?
Yeah, the start was a little bit difficult because there was some action in front of me, and then I just go back a little bit, but then I come into the race back, and I was behind Steffi. I overtake her, then she overtake me again, and yeah. But I think then I remember that I'm at the 8th position, and I think I will take the chance to drive tomorrow in the race 2 from the pole position, and hopefully we can make it again.
Yeah, make it again, because remember last time it was the first ETRC overall win here on home soil for you at the Nürburgring. This was very emotional, so you're going for the repetition.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm looking forward to do it again, and yeah, the fans everybody's here, and yeah, it's it's the home Grand Prix, and yeah, it's really nice to stay here.
Absolutely, it's going to be the first race tomorrow morning. Then we're going to start with the reverse grid, starting with Lukas Hahn from pole position. So what are the plans for tonight evening? Of course, you need to focus on the sports. You need to get the setup right, everything. But as you see, lots of fans here, so have a quick chat here and there.
Yeah, the fans are meeting us, and we want to stay in touch with them, and yeah, it's also nice to talk with them. And in the end, we will make the truck ready for tomorrow. And yeah, we need to be focused for the race, and that's what we need. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lukas Hahn. We say bye-bye. So Line van der Maas and me, we're going to see you tomorrow again. That was fun, wasn't it?
Absolutely enjoyed the race. I hope all the audience was as well, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow, but also Sunday. I think that's going to be really cool races waiting for us.
Absolutely. So see you tomorrow then.